Hey BookTube, welcome back. I'm Winx, and the ink I'm talking about today is my Friday reads as well as my September TBR. And you may notice that even though it looks pretty similar to my normal background, it's slightly different, and that's because I'm in my new apartment. So I've finally gotten things pretty much all set up. I have a few pictures to hang up, but I think that's about the last of the unpacking, settling in process. I do have an air conditioner in the middle of my book nook, which you may have noticed. Unfortunately, there's just no other place that I can put it because this is the only spot that has a window that works for it, and where it's at is the only place where it can reach the outlet. So that's just gonna happen. It's not as cute for videos, but it is lovely when it's really hot outside and I want to sit in here and read, getting a nice breeze. Also, Mosa loves it because I have my little ottoman right next to it, which I use for like a side table whenever I'm sitting in my chaise and reading, and Mosa likes to sit on it and just get the direct breeze, and it's hysterical. She makes the best faces. I'll put up a picture so you can see because it's great. Anyway, I have a lot of books to talk about and some exciting things, so I'm just going to jump right in. I'm expecting this to be a slightly long video, but it's been a little bit, so hopefully that is okay with you and we can all just have a chat. So to start off, if you haven't heard already, I am excited to say that I'm starting a new podcast, which is called the Smore SciFi Book Club. I'm still going to be carrying on with Marshmallow and Mimosa, and in fact, Adrienne Tilley, who is my co-host on Marshmallow and Mimosa, is also going to be my co-host on Smore SciFi. This is sort of just a spin-off of the original Marshmallow and Mimosa, except it's only talking about books. We're really excited about it. So we're just going to kind of alternate weeks between the two of them, so there'll be 2 episodes per month of each, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The Smore SciFi Book Club is sci-fi, but it's specifically vintage sci-fi, which we've sort of arbitrarily defined as before the 1980s. That's subject to change. I don't really know. If you guys have thoughts about what you would consider vintage sci-fi, I would love to hear about it down in the comments. If you think that is a good time frame, if you think it should be into the 80s, if it should be before the before the 70s, I don't know. Let me know. I would love to hear it. So we're going to pick 1 book per month and then have the occasional bonus reads. And the first month, September, is going to be such a month with bonus reads. But the main book for this month is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I was really excited to pick this one because I had actually just bought this copy before we even decided to do the book club thing. And I bought it because it's illustrated by Edward Gorey. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Edward Gorey, he has this really awesome, weird, creepy style, and he's known for making some sort of children's book style illustrated books. Again, all just creepy and weird, and I love it. So this was really fun to get to read through this and have his illustrations in the beginning of each chapter and such. And I have a lot to say about it, but I'm going to wait for the podcast, so you can tune in later this month to check that out. Oh, also, I should say, we have a Goodreads group. So if you are not already in the Goodreads group, I have a link down below. You can go and check that out. We are going to just kind of post what we're reading each month. I'm going to have some threads in there for discussions. You can add your own threads for discussions. And we might do some like polls to vote for upcoming books and stuff. I just think it's going to be fun. We also have picked out a hashtag, which is Smore SciFi, and you can use that if you want to post about any updates on Twitter or Instagram. Anyway, so I love this book. I gave it 5 stars, and that's all I'm going to say until the podcast. Then, as I mentioned, September is going to have some bonus short story reads, and we're actually going to do a bonus episode. Normally, we're going to have the 2 episodes per month. We're going to have 3 that are going to come out all at the same time at the end of September, and then going forward, they will sort of come out every other week. But our bonus picks for September are 3 Ray Bradbury short stories. I have 3 related short story collections, although all of these are available online in PDF form. So if you are not wanting to go out and acquire various anthologies, you can actually just find them online. In fact, I'll link them down below if I can find them, /remember to find them whenever I'm editing this. But the first story is the title story of this collection, which is The Sound of Thunder, and that one deals with time travel, which is fun. The second story is the title from this collection, which is I Sing the Body Electric, and that is about robots. Also fun. And the third story is included in this collection, which is The Illustrated Man. It's not that story though, it is The Long Reign, and that one takes place on Venus, and it's, yeah, so we've got space, we've got robots, and we have time travel. You really can't beat it, and I'm so excited. Yeah, so I've read all of these. Again, not going to talk about them anymore, but just definitely stay tuned for the podcast. I'm sure I will be talking a lot more about it in my videos because that's just what I do. Anyway, so there are a few other things that I have actually already read. I've been on staycation this week, so I've been getting a lot of reading done. The first is another vintage sci-fi short story, which is not actually associated with Smore SciFi, but reading for it inspired me to pick this one up. It's actually something that I read when I was in grade school, and I just had this really vague memory of people wearing yellow wedding dresses, and like it was sort of a dystopian. There'd been, you know, atomic warfare or whatever, and there was all of this cloud coverage that was so thick that people didn't see the sun for years. There would be a little glimpse of it for like 10 minutes in one area, and then that area would just get flooded with people trying to soak up a little bit of sunshine. And so it became this sort of superstitious tradition thing to have a bride wear a yellow dress on her wedding as a sign of good luck, and that maybe she would see the sun on her wedding day, etc., etc. Yeah, I started Googling. I finally actually found it, and it was called Searching for Summer by Joan Aiken. I'm really excited to have found it because it had actually been bothering me for years. I had no idea what that story was or what it was about. After having reread it, I don't recommend it. It just wasn't that great. Yeah, the story itself wasn't that great. There was some characters in it that just were really infuriating and gross and offensive, and I don't know. I wasn't into it. But I was really into the next thing that I read, which is volumes 4 and 5 of Jem and the Holograms. I still completely adore this series. It is just completely living up to every expectation that I could possibly set. I love the representation of diverse characters. It's so good. It's so good. I especially really liked volume 5, which took them to Hawaii. And if you have watched the 1980s cartoon of Jem and the Holograms, there is an episode where they go to Hawaii. I don't remember the episode's name, but there is a song in it called Misfits in Hawaii, and I will forever just have that song memorized. I won't sing it because I would lose every subscriber because my voice is not meant for singing, but it's a good song. You can Google it. And yeah, there were all these little nods to that episode that I saw throughout this volume, and it just made me so happy. So really well done. And I will forever super hardcore ship Stember. So that has, there's been a lot of that in these last couple volumes, and it's been fantastic, and I can't wait to see more of it. I think I actually have the next volume in my office at work, but like I said, I've been on staycation, so it is sadly just sitting there and waiting for me. The final book that I have already read is the final book in the third trilogy of the Drizzt Do'Urden books by R.A. Salvatore. So this third trilogy is called Legacy of the Drow, and this particular book was Siege of Shadows, and I ended up putting this one down for a little bit, and then I kind of came back and I felt a little confused when I came back, and I think just because there was a lot of stuff going on and a lot of plots and people with really long names that I kept mixing up a little bit. But besides that, I did really, really enjoy it. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really especially loved the development of the relationships in this last trilogy, but especially in this last book, I felt like I really am loving every glimpse I see of any further development between Drizzt and Catti Bree. I cannot wait to see where that goes, and I'm doing a really good job of not finding spoilers for it I'm just letting it happen, and it's been magical. Yeah, I feel like we're seeing a greater depth to the characters. They've gone through some pretty hard stuff in recent books, and it's really defining them individually and the relationships. And I'm getting more and more attached to these characters and to these books as I go along, which I think says a lot about R.A. Salvatore, because I think it's sometimes I go into these long series expecting the books to just kind of teeter off and go downhill as I go along. You know, there'll be that first trilogy that's really super solid, and then the rest of them are just kind of so-so. But this has really been pretty steady. I had to get over my own weirdness about going from all Drist's perspective to multiple characters, but no regrets. I love it, and I highly recommend it, especially if you are interested in anything related to Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so that's everything that I've already read. As for what I'm currently reading, I have 2 books that are on my list at the moment. The first of which is a reread I'm doing of Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie, and I'm actually buddy reading this with my girlfriend Jess because yes, we do plan on eventually doing another Books with Bae video. It's been quite a while, and this has actually been our pick for quite a while, and it's totally my fault. I just kept getting distracted by things and busy with things, and I'm finally making a priority to read this one, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I've only read the first few chapters. We like to just break it up into like sets of 4 chapters that we read at a time and then discuss as we go, and I'm really excited. Also, I took a book bath with this one, and it smells like my book bath, which is really nice right now. Yes, that is one of the benefits. There's a risk to taking a paper book into the bath with you, but there are definitely some benefits, so that's one of them. And if you're not familiar with this book, it is part of a series, so there's at least 2 other books out, because I have them, but I don't know beyond that. There's at least 3 books in the series, but it has won many awards. It does some really cool explorations with gender. There's this like one race species of aliens that don't denote gender in any way in their language, and then there are other races where it's this very complex thing and you denote their gender and their sort of like familial status and all of these other things, and getting it wrong can get you into a lot of trouble. And yeah, so far it's really cool. And so like the main character is from the species that doesn't denote gender, or that was her first language, and so she just refers to everyone as she, and then we'll say like, I think this person is male, and she does blah blah blah, and so it's this really interesting thing that's happening, and I'm fascinated by it. So as I mentioned, this is a reread, but I originally read it when it first came out, and I got an audiobook of it, and I'm pretty sure that I did a terrible job of actually paying attention to it. I wasn't as into it the first time through, but as people started talking about it more on BookTube, I realized that there was just a lot that I totally missed on, and clearly I would have loved it a lot more if I had actually paid attention. So I'm almost going back through with fresh eyes, just because it's been some amount of years, and again, I didn't pay as good of attention as I should have the first time. So a lot of this is kind of hitting me like a new book, but it's a little complicated getting into it in the beginning, but all of the things are really pulling me in, and I'm excited to go into the rest of it. And the second book that I'm currently reading, I have actually just started tonight, and that is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I am so excited for this one, though. It's the sequel to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I read a little earlier this year. I read it during Dewey's 24-hour readathon. I can't remember when that was, but a few months ago. But it follows this sort of motley crew on a spaceship, and they're going off to do this very dangerous mission, but it's going to make them a bunch of money, and they all have these really amazing and intricate backstories, and their relationships are just so fantastic, and it's so good. It's so good. I loved the first book, and I just really, really, really can't wait to dive into this one. All of my friends who've already read this one have been really pushing me to pick this one up, especially Adrienne Tilley, my co-host of the podcast. She's going to be really excited to know that I've just started it. And then finally, I have 2 more books that are sort of on my possible to read list for the rest of the month. One of them is by Lois McMaster-Bujold, and it is called Young Miles. And this is the first in her more popular sci-fi series, and I can't remember the name of the series. It's on the back. Verkosigan Saga. Yes. I really love Lois McMaster-Bujold's fantasy writing. I loved The Curse of Chalion and all of the Penric novellas, which those novellas take place in the same world as The Curse of Chalion. But I love her style of writing. I love her characters and the depth that she puts into the worlds. I have never read any of her sci-fi though, so I've been really excited to check this out. This happens to be one of my girlfriend Jess's favorite series, and she has very generously lent me the first book in it. So I am really looking forward to finally checking that out and expanding my Lois McMaster-Bujold experience. And the final book in this giant pile of September reads is Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, which is the first book in the Rainwild Chronicles trilogy series. There's 4 books, it's not a trilogy. So yeah, this is the first book in that series, and I'm really excited. And I know Robin Hobb books get a little bit confusing, so it's Farseer trilogy first, then the Live Ship Traders trilogy, then the Tawny Man trilogy, and then Rainwild Chronicles. And I believe the Rainwild Chronicles mostly corresponds with the Live Ship Traders trilogy. I'm saying that mostly because that trilogy also takes place partly in the Rainwilds, so I'm just assuming. But I'm really excited to pick up this one soon. If I don't read this one this month, I'll possibly start it next month. But I'm going to be doing a buddy read on this one with Frankie from Frankie Reads, and I think we're both super stoked about it. It's great. Who doesn't love Robin Hobb? Yes. Alright, so that concludes my super giant September TBR and Friday reads and all the things. Again, definitely check out that link down below to the Goodreads page for Smore SciFi Book Club if you are so inclined to read some vintage sci-fi, chat about it, etc. I would also just love to know what's going on with you guys, because it's been a little bit. I put up a couple quick videos, but nothing where I'm just directly talking to you, so I would love to hear what you're reading, if you've read any of these books, if you're also in a super sci-fi centered reading mood lately, because I totally have been, as evidence. And thank you all so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I hope you're all having a wonderful start to the weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!